evening, everyone. Welcome. Wonderful to see so many of you joining the room from the very start. I do hope, following on from last week's epic episode, that you have invited at least one guest along with you. We are the Spiritual Injection. For those of you who are new to the platform, we are a very unique educational platform that pride ourselves on bringing you top quality, first-hand, anecdotal information about a wealth of topics, fields, industries, etc. Do go to our YouTube page and find us on all major social media platforms. In fact, at Spiritual Injection, you will find our extensive back catalogue of episodes on our YouTube page. Do support the movement. So like, subscribe, share, do share the videos as well, and help us to build the platform that we may continue to grow and develop as we have over the last few years, and continue to grow from strength to strength and bring you more and more first-hand, high quality information. Now, we do pride ourselves on being a mindset shifting platform. We don't bring you this information just for you to be collectors of knowledge, but actually that you may apply it to your lives instantaneously, and also that you can be a light in the life of others who are not on the platform, helping you to know, as one of our mantras is, something about everything. So last week we had a very special guest on. We are back here for week 2. Before I continue in reintroducing to some and introducing to others, I would like to just inform you of our culinary class that we have from one of our sister companies, which runs every Saturday. Especially when we're talking about health, this series, it really is a key component in educating the youngsters, educating children, from as early as possible, that they may adopt healthy culinary habits, healthy eating habits, and be able to really be, as our guest was saying last week, really be a physician to themselves, starting from the ages of 5+. If you're in or around the London area, do scan the QR code, and you'll have all the information on that link, or just come and visit us every Saturday. You have our contact numbers there, and we can inform you of exactly what we have in store. We have great testimonials, great first-hand testimonies of how the classes have not only impacted the children in terms of the ways I have said to you just now, but also we're looking at attention span, we're looking at confidence building, social skills, and we also pride ourselves on being able to captivate the creativity and the attention of children who may have additional needs where schools may find them difficult, but because of the level of engagement we have no difficulty at all providing provision for such children. Now, also we have our mindset development coaching sessions, which are one-to-one sessions, which really help you to grow and develop the habits and the mindset necessary for successful business. Those of you who have registered your interest, we are working through the records and will definitely be in contact with you. And those of you who have yet to register your interest, it's your very own Abdul Hakim. We'll be giving you one-to-one business mindset coaching. Now, remember, our host is the person that's actually made connections with the majority of the guests that we bring onto the platform and brought them to you. So there's a wealth of information, a wealth of experience that our brother has, a wealth of first-hand success stories within his own business endeavors, and also friends in very high places that also inform his knowledge base. So again, look forward to that and take advantage of it. So week 2, we welcome our brother back to the platform, our brother Heru Afori Atta. I will not read his whole bio again, but what I will say is that he has a Bachelor's of Science in Biology and Psychology. And also he's the founder and president of Herbal Results Industries. And we saw a range of the products that Herbal Results Industries have on offer, and many of the benefits and the testimonials that I do hope that you took the time to look at last week will really give you an insight of the efficiency of what our brother Heru has to offer. Last week, we had we had I wouldn't say information, I don't want to say advice for legal terms, but I would say we had a very instructive session. And what the beauty of last week's session, so I do hope you were here, the beauty of last week's session was that it wouldn't break the bank for you to apply, or for us to apply what Heru was sharing on his platform last week. The level of insight that we got into these ailments that plague society, and the level of how Heru was able to simplistically bring us to an understanding of how it is we can help ourselves and be our own physicians was phenomenal. And hence the reason why we have a part 2 by popular demand, where we'll be taking Q&A and we will be giving you a bit more insight into a particular chronic illness that affects us at large. So with no further delay, I'll bring on to you our host to take us further into our program. Remember, if you haven't yet brought a guest, it's not too late to register them and bring them on the platform, because I guarantee you there will be something here of benefit to them. So welcome to the platform, brother.
And warm welcome to you, and thank you for that great introduction.
You're welcome.
Thank you, and welcome to all of you in our listening audience. One of the most favorite times of the week for me, because this is my extra curricular activity for the week, and the spiritual injection never ceases to amaze me. And I am obviously one of the main hosts, but this is something I enjoy so much, because we're blessed with the opportunity of bringing you some of the best minds in our community. And I don't say that lightly, because I'm not looking for brownie points here. We have a whole back catalog of activity to prove the facts, because we want the best for ourselves. And that's where it starts, right? Those of us who have put this together, we want the best for ourselves. So therefore, we bring the best to you, okay? And last week was just phenomenal with our brother Heru. And it was the first time in our history that our show has gone on for 2.5 hours. And as I explained to brother just in our pre-meeting, that last week was like being in an operating theater. And I couldn't interfere with the process of the great work that was being done. And obviously, as just mentioned, part 2 was and is an inevitability. And part 3, with us having a masterclass within the next 7 days or so, is an opportunity that will be given to you for us to really drill down, because death is in our community. Death is in our families. Death is in our households. And the only way we're going to be able to roll this back is to really be cognizant of the causes of these type of ailments that are affecting us now, that in times past, they weren't even an issue for us, but we're being faced now with things that, it's going to force us to take time, sit back and really study the beauty of life. Like, this body is the greatest machine in the universe. Like, this body that we live in is greater than the sun. It's greater than the moon. It's greater than the stars. And we have not respected that which is far more important than a Rolls Royce. Somebody gives you a Rolls Royce, but takes unleaded petrol. You are not putting diesel in it, no matter how low the tank is. You're just not doing it, right? So be that as it may, we've put all sorts of things inside this great house built by divine. So we have a great brother with us who's going to help us to sort out our medicine chest and help us to sort out our cupboards and help us to sort out our fridges and our freezers and help us to sort out the people who we interact with who also have an effect on our health. So without any further ado, please take your devices off of mute and receive for the sequel, brother Haru. Please receive them with love and appreciation. Warm welcome again,
Welcome back,
brother
brother.
Haru.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Brother.
Welcome.
Pleasure to be back.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be back.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. Everybody dressed so proper in suit and tie and all of that. So,
Yes, sir.
yeah, man. Just to see people dressed up and everything. Yeah. Nice to see you all. Always good to talk to the people and to give you all a framework, a simple framework. As we talked last week, many of these complex problems can have simple solutions, and sometimes they're just made complex so that it seems a bit, you would have to get experts to navigate the map to success, and many times we find out it's actually not necessary. We talked about the intersection of medicine and commerce. When we have an intersection of medicine and commerce, there are a lot of incentives that are out of place in terms of solving a problem. So therefore, many times you can start looking at disease as an industry where those people in that industry, if they solve the problem once and for all, they wouldn't make as much money. And one of the examples is the American car industry. So the American car industry, when there was a time when there was high imports on foreign cars and foreign goods, pretty much the American car industry had a monopoly on the American car buyer. And with this monopoly, meaning that basically they're the only party in town to go to. So if you want to dance, you got to go to them. So what they did with the American cars was there's a concept of planned obsolescence. So therefore, they would make American cars in a way that they were literally made to break down within a few years. So you have to buy another car, right? So there was no competition that would force or incentivize people to make better cars. It was called planned obsolescence. And this is a concept in the business world. It only really works when you have a monopoly. So once the pharmaceutical industries have a monopoly on people's health, they can start planning around disease and profits. And that if that disease is actually once and for all solved, it actually is a bad day for them. So for instance, those who have invested billions of dollars in cancer research and cancer medicines, if tomorrow the whole world found out that you could reverse cancer for $5, the people with cancer would be rejoicing, but the pharmaceutical industry leaders would actually want to commit suicide because they would have lost their ROI. And whenever you have incentives that are misplaced that way, you're not going to get results that favor the people, but only results that favor bank accounts. And why am I saying that? Because if you are to be addressing disease reversal or disease mitigation, at the very least, if you're doing a good job, the numbers of cases of the disease would be going down over time, right? If you're into the business of pest control, and your job is to eradicate roaches from a neighborhood, but every year the infestation of roaches gets higher and higher and worse, but you get hired every year to do it. Well, then your theory about eradicating roaches would have to be in question because the numbers keep getting worse and worse. And this is just logical. So therefore, if the numbers of heart disease get worse, the numbers of cancer are getting worse, then what is it that the professionals who are charged and being paid for solving this problem, what are they actually doing? What is their progress report? And it's clear that they're underperforming. And in any business, when people are underperforming, they get fired. So you might want to consider firing your doctors. And the reason why I'm saying that is because you get high blood pressure and you have it for 10 years and it's not being mitigated in any way. They just put you on more medications and more medications. And then what happens is that they never told you the side effects of these medications. You start to look at the side effects of the medications. Almost all of them say 10% of the people who take this medication are going to get acute renal failure. I mean, it's clear, and I showed receipts last week. I showed it with metformin, the first listed side effect for metformin, which is the most popular drug for diabetes. The first listed side effect is death. And a lot of people were shocked when they saw it. And so, I mean, I can just show you quickly how these people do what they do. You could take something like lisinopril, losartan, amlodipine. You look at the side effects. You start looking at their side effects. I mean, they clearly tell you what's going on. And then you get to understand how modeling works. I'll give you all a quick example, and I'm just bringing up one of these drugs. And they have very interesting ways of telling you this. Some of them they'll just tell you like straight up. All right, so let's look at losartan. So losartan is a popular drug that they give for high blood pressure. And the way you do it is just go to google.com, put in losartan, put in side effects, you'll find drugs.com. Losartan side effects. Some of you here might be on losartan. So not only does it come with blurred vision, confusion, difficulty breathing, dizziness, fainting, fast or irregular heartbeat, nausea, vomiting, numbness in the feet, sweating, unusual tiredness or weakness, heaviness in the legs. So you're taking all this and you're still supposed to go to work every day, right? And you're getting these side effects. So it takes down on the quality of your life and also on your productivity. And then you see all these types of things that go along: body aches and pains, decreased interest in sexual intercourse, feeling sad or empty. So now it has these psychological effects on you. Headache, severe throbbing, hearing loss. So you can go deaf, right? Like many of you didn't know that you can go deaf taking this medication, and then you go deaf and your doctor never told you why you lost your hearing. Now they get you a hearing aid and they tell you, oh, you can get a surgery for you. So now you've got surgery implications, all because the side effects of the medication that they never told you about. Inability to keep an erection. You've got marriages breaking up because of losartan. I mean, this is real because I have brothers contact me. Like, I'm about to lose my wife, like I'm not able to perform. I mean, I have many stories about this. But let's go down a little bit further. And then it breaks down, and this is for what they call medical professionals, for healthcare professionals. This is the section for them. So then you break it down based on different body parts. But let's go to renal. So renal, common, 1 to 10%. It says common. Renal impairment, renal failure. So what they know about losartan is that 10%, up to 10% of people who take losartan are going to get kidney failure. So guess what happens? Dialysis centers and the owners of the dialysis clinics, the companies that own these dialysis clinics, what they do is they call the local pharmacies within an area. So let's say, I mean, you all are in England, so let's just say a certain part of London, call it Brixton, right? I know about Brixton, right? So let's say you have Brixton and you'll have the local head of the dialysis clinics. Dialysis is where you go when you have kidney failure and they clean out your blood because your kidneys can no longer do it. Well, they'll call the pharmacies and they'll ask them, please give me the number of people who are prescribed losartan in the last year, right? And they'll gather up the numbers. Maybe it's 100,000 people who are on losartan. All they do is they take 10% and they say, oh, 10,000 people are going to have kidney failure. So we can put up kidney dialysis clinics in these areas because we know that we're going to have 10,000 clients. And this is how it works. This is how they project. This is how they project. This is how it works. They do the numbers because they know the side effects of these medications and what's happening to people. And then when you get kidney failure, your doctor doesn't tell you that it was the medication that caused it. They'll say it was your high blood pressure that caused it, but never give you any information on the medication. But it's the medication that caused it. And it's clear, it's in black and white, they told you. And many of you are taking more than one high blood pressure medication. What you find out is that they also have 10% incidence of renal failure. So now you're taking two. So you've got 20% now, right? Because it doubled. And they're able to predict what type of medical solutions they're going to give you, quote unquote solutions, which means that you become a lifetime customer of these people, the pharmaceutical complex. So they know this. Now, how does this relate to cancer? Well, the World Health Organization has let us know here. Can you all see this where it says WHO report? Someone can just shake their head up and down if they do see this. Okay. WHO report, worldwide cancer cases to double by 2050. So what they have told you is they're expecting the cancer business to boom in terms of double. This is what they're really saying. They're not really talking about the people. They're just saying that the cancer business is going to have more customers by 2050, double by 2050. Now, what that means is for a business person in the cancer field, oh, let's start investing more in cancer infrastructure, like hospice and chemotherapy drugs and what have you. They're not trying to solve the problem. They're just trying to prepare for the demand. See, this is how business people think who don't care about people. But what it also lets you know is that their theory of cancer has to be wrong. Just like the theory of cockroach eradication has to be wrong if it's projected that the number of cockroaches in my house will double by the next 20 months or 20 years. But I keep hiring a professional to eradicate cockroaches in my house. That means that that professional is underperforming. And it also means that there is no plan for that professional to perform. That means that that professional also has the wrong theory on how to kill roaches. And you might want to start investigating other ways to kill roaches because what they're telling you is you're about to have double amount of roaches in your house. Okay? And if you keep going down that path, you're just going to get more roaches. So this is what's going on with cancer. So it would behoove anybody, based on first principles of thinking, that the power of any theory is in its predictive value. And based on their theory of cancer, which is a mutagenic theory of cancer, what they've told you is that it's going to get worse. That's what they told you, which means that they don't have the right theory. This is what this is saying here. This is U.S. News and World Report, and this is WHO report, worldwide cancer cases to double by 2050. This is the World Health Organization, okay? And interestingly enough, they got a black man right here. Very interesting, right? That's the image they've got of a cancer patient, a black man looking out the window. This is what they've got in store for us people. And there's no, like, this is no coincidence they use this image here. That's the imagery of the cancer patient, a black man hooked up to a machine in a gown, hospital gown, looking out the window with nowhere to go. And so when I start looking into cancer, knowing that their theory cannot be correct or complete, we start finding out some very interesting things. And I'll cover this in the, more intense session that we'll do, which I think they're referring to as a master class. What you do is, because you have the access to the libraries of the world, what you can do is just go to Google right now and just put in cancer and parasites. So just to let those who just come here for the first time, the mainstream medical establishment has what you call a mutagenic theory of cancer. Mutagenic theory of cancer sounds just like that. Muta mean mutant, genic genes, mutated genes. So what they're saying is that it is uncontrolled somatic cell division due to mutated genes. And that is what they're calling the cause of cancer. And so that's why whenever you have a cancer diagnosis, they want to do a biopsy, which actually causes the cancer to spread by causing an area of inflammation and then also causing the cancer to spill into your blood. You get metastasis from it. But the reason why they're doing these biopsies when they know you have a tumor, it's not supposed to be there. You think that would be enough, but because of the mutagenic theory of cancer, they want to find the gene cell line of that cancer. Because now what they do is, like, they'll see, like, breast cancer, say it has 21 different lines of cancer for breast tumors. The reason why they do that is because it now allows them to get 21 separate sources of funding for the cancer, because it has different cell lines. And the mutagenic theory allows them to look at the cell lines of cancer. A parasitic theory of cancer does not care about the cell lines because it deals with the root cause. And so when we start looking at the root cause, we find out that cancer and parasites have a relationship. If at the extreme, it would be the cancer is a parasite. At the minimum, cancer is caused by parasites, right? So let's look at when we put in cancer in the word parasites, just on Google, and see what we see. We see American Cancer Society, parasites that can lead to cancer. Okay, 2016. Oh, if you got parasites that can lead to cancer, you would think you would want to have an anti-parasitic regimen for people who've got cancer. But no, they won't do that. Okay. They have it here. And this is from the American Cancer Society, which gets the most money for cancer research. But is this actually coming out and is becoming standard of care? No. Okay. Is there any more evidence? And of course, there's a lot more, but I'm just going to just run through what you see when you put in cancer in Google. Parasite infection, carcinogenesis, and human malignancy. U.S. National Institute of Health. Here's what they're saying. Abstract. Let's see who wrote this. Okay. These are the authors right here. You can look into them, see what their background is. Institute of Tropical Medicine, University of Tübingen, Germany. Biomedical Pharmaceutical Applied Research, Vietnam Military Medical University, Hanoi. So you just do a little background on these people. This guy, Paul Brindley, Research Center for Neglected Diseases of Poverty Department, Microbiology, Immunology, Tropical Medicine, School of Medicine and Health Sciences, George Washington University, Washington, D.C. Christian G. Meyer, Tübingen, Germany, Institute of Tropical Medicine, Velavan, Tübingen. So there's a lot of stuff coming out of Germany, United States, and Vietnam. So what they're saying is cancer may be induced by environmental and physiological conditions. Infections with viruses, bacteria, and parasites have been recognized for years to be associated with a human carcinogenicity. So basically, with human cancer. And then they review current concept of cancer associations with parasitic infections, and it just keeps going down and down. You could read it, but this is just what you see when you just do a cursory workup. JAMA, Journal of American Association, American Medical Association, is cancer a parasitic disease? And they talk about it. So what I'm talking about, what I'm exposing, it's not that I'm this genius who came up with this. I just looked at it and I looked at the research. I looked at the research that exists. And we start finding out that there are studies all the way from 1891 on this, all the way up to 2025 on this. You see, this is from 1891. And it's been a long string of this information. And so what I did with Herbal Results was I created a product called olive leaf extract. I did a lot of experiments with different herbs, and I found that the leaves of the olive tree was pretty much an all-in-one, that it lowered high blood pressure, it lowered high blood sugar, killed all types of viruses, bacteria, fungus infections, fungal infections, and also parasitic infections. I made it, and I made the olive leaf extract, and of course, I used it on myself first. Everybody who makes a product for humans' consumption as a scientist should use themselves as a guinea pig first. Anything that you recommend to anyone, you should have taken it yourself, but I doubt your doctors will take chemotherapy with you. Right? And as a matter of fact, we know for a fact when you go to the dentist has you do an x-ray.
And he's scalpers.
And before they turn the x-ray on, he runs out the room.
Right, him and his nurse.
Yeah, him and the nurse and the assistant and everyone, they run out of the room. But they tell you the x-ray is safe, but they run out the room. So I would say to you, next time that you're with your dentist, just tell him that you'll feel a lot better if he holds your hand while you do the x-ray, and that he should stay with you and then see what happens. Right? This is the foolishness that goes on, right? Since radiation is supposed to not be harmful, but this is one of the interventions for when someone has cancer. But I thought when people suffered the radiation from Chernobyl, they all died of cancer. That's very interesting. So then they could say, oh, it's dosages, but then why is the dentist running out of the room, right? Then we start to find out radiation actually increases blood sugar. And then we find out that blood sugar is a problem because sugar feeds tumors, right? And the reason why we know that, did I show you all what a PET scan was last time? I went through that with you all?
You did.
Yes.
Yes, you did.
And so for those just tuning in, a PET scan is the most accurate scan that you can take, more accurate than an MRI, CAT scan, ultrasound. And they inject you with radioactive fluorescent glucose. And they inject you with it because cancer tumors and parasites feed off of sugar 20 to 50 times faster than regular cells. So whenever there's sugar in the blood, the tumors grab it up. Because it's radioactive fluorescent dye that they inject you with, the tumors light up and they scan you, and they're able to see where the tumors are to a very good degree of precision, actually the highest degree of precision. So we know that sugar has a relationship with not only parasites, but cancer tumors, but they don't tell you to make changes in your diet. So now you've got cancer patients eating donuts. You got cancer patients eating snacks, and they tell you can eat whatever you want. And then you start to wonder why the tumor is growing. Well, because you're feeding it what it loves, which is sugar. And they should know it because of a PET scan. But they keep on doing what they do. And then they send you home with a drink called Ensure. I don't know if they have that in England. They probably do, but it's a liquid drink. And it's just liquid sugar and vegetable oil. And this is what they give cancer patients. Cancer ward, they give you pancake and syrup and cereal and juice. They give you like soda drinks, like Coca-Cola. They'll give you, I think maybe in England, they give you Fanta. In the United States, they give you Coca-Cola, right? In England, they'll give you Fanta. So they step it up a little bit for you in England. But but it's still sugar, you know. And you're feeding the tumor. And it just grows and it doubles. And they'll say, oh, we'll give you more chemotherapy, right? We'll give you more radiation. But they never tell you what chemotherapy comes from. Did I go over last week the source of chemotherapy? I might not have. Did I?
Not in
Oh, no,
depth.
I didn't. Okay. So are the people aware that chemotherapy comes from mustard gas from World War II?
Oh, no, I didn't tell us.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't touch on that. So let me just give you all receipts. Chemotherapy and mustard gas. So mustard gas was a chemical agent that was used to kill people. Okay. So can you all see this?
Yeah.
Chemotherapy mustard?
Yes.
Yep. Mustard gas. Chemotherapeutic agent used to treat certain cancers. So chemotherapy from the trenches of warfare, a weapon to fight cancer. What they don't tell you is that it's so toxic that chemotherapy's hidden origins, drug discovery news. Chemotherapy's hidden origins. A lot of people don't know this. Chemotherapy comes from mustard gas. So here's the deal. Anybody who's worked in the hospital ward, and you can ask people, you can just confirm this. Anybody who works in a cancer ward, if the chemotherapy spills on the hospital floor, the whole floor has to be evacuated. And the only people who can clean it up are people in hazmat suits. And this is what they're putting into people's bodies, right? It's extremely toxic and it completely ruins the immune system. And now they have targeted chemotherapy, but many times people take full body chemotherapy. And full body, so what it does, it will kill all the cells in the body. It'll kill the immune system cells and, you know, try to kill the cancer. But it's killing your immune system at the same time. The problem with that is that your immune system was created actually to kill cancer. You have what you call T cells, killer T cells. It's part of your immune system and it's targeted for cancer cells, precancer cells to kill them. And what chemotherapy does, it wipes out your immune system. So a lot of people who die from cancer actually die from opportunistic infections. And what you'll find is a lot of people die for cancer. If you ask, like, what was the actual cause of death? They'll say cancer. You say, no, but dig a little bit deeper. What actually caused the person to die? Ask that question. A lot of times it'll be pneumonia. Why? Why pneumonia? Well, when you have cancer, they put you on these strong steroids, anti-inflammatory steroids. So they already told you that cancer must have something to do with inflammation. So see, they tell on themselves all the time if you just know what's going on. So they'll give you, particularly there's a steroid called dexamethasone. They'll give you, if you have cancer, you have swelling going on because of the tumors. These steroids are supposed to, you know, reverse acute inflammation. Problem with dexamethasone is that it completely mummifies you. Like you can't really move. It's hard to swallow. It paralyzes your muscles, makes your muscles very weak. So a lot of times people who are on these drugs have a hard time swallowing. And when they swallow, they'll aspirate. What does that mean? That the food goes down the wrong hole. Instead of going down your esophagus, it'll go down your windpipe into your lungs. Then the food gets into your lungs and causes an infection. Then you get pneumonia. The problem is your immune system's gone because of all the chemotherapy, so you can't fight off the pneumonia and you end up dying. So a lot of people who die from cancer is actually pneumonia. You can actually just ask. And so we have to start understanding what's going on. And so using this parasitic theory of cancer, what I've been able to do is put together a protocol. And it's in this book that I wrote. But we'll just look through real quick because, you know, like, why would I be able to speak authoritatively on this? Well, the only way you could do it is if you actually have evidence of your results based on your modality, because anyone can just come up here and talk and criticize the conventional system, but you're going to have to produce some type of results to show that you know better and that you're able to, you know, produce better outcomes for people, which is really important because a sick person doesn't really want to deal with all the debate. They just want to know, is this going to work for me? And so I'm very sensitive to that. So what we've done at Herbal Results is we've created our olive leaf extract. We've created the different products for different aspects of the protocol. So the protocol is that, one, you take a ketogenic diet, which is a diet of no sugar, low refined carbohydrates. You replace the vegetable oils with coconut oil. So that's your diet right there. You can add fasting into it. I talked about it a little bit last week. And then the second stage after diet is immune system fortification. And the immune system needs 4 basic things to be able to function at its most robust levels. And that would be vitamin D3. So I'll just take you to the website. And so this is why we've developed what we've developed. So we have the book here. If you go to the page, shop page, this is the book. I'll go over a little bit of it, but we'll go over it in depth during the masterclass session. And this is the olive leaf extract. This is the maximum strength. This is the super strength. This is stronger. This is what people have taken. People have taken these bottles alone, have reversed people's cancer. And we have evidence of that on the testimonials page. And then we have vitamin D3. This is for your immune system. And we've created a product that is magnesium, zinc, and selenium. Our products have no fillers in it. So we don't add anything that's unnecessary. It is just magnesium, zinc, and selenium. And the research has shown that all these people with cancer, 98% are deficient in magnesium, zinc, and selenium. And all of these play a role in the immune system. And they're also deficient in vitamin D. Okay, so we made these products to solve that issue. This is part of step 3, which is anti-parasitics. So the olive leaf extract is an anti-parasitic, is also anti-inflammatory, right? So that's what we do in terms of telling people what to take. But why does that matter if you don't have results? So if you go to testimonials page, what you'll see is what we've done is we've taken people that we've worked with and have healed from serious cancers. And these are not like written testimonials or 10-second infomercials. These are at least 1 hour long conversations that I have with former customers who are now healed of cancer. So this guy right here, Crawford Peterson, stage 3 prostate cancer. His tumor covered 97% of his prostate. His PSA went from 150 to 0.1, and he was declared cancer-free within a few months, and he tells his story. And all you got to do is just press play, and it's me interviewing these people. And what I can do, hold on, when I do share, I can do share sound. You know, you can just listen to the people.
Viewers, listeners,
People,
we
and he's
have
telling his story.
a very important interview today with someone who I've gotten to know and met last year. and the brother was suffering from prostate cancer. But he didn't talk about it much. We started working on some big projects, and we got to know each other, and he opened up and let me know what was going on with him health-wise. And fortunately, I have experience in dealing with people with cancer, and we've gotten some good results in reversing cancer. So when he told me about his problem, I was pretty confident that we could help fix it. And so, a year later, the problem has been fixed. So why don't we get into it? And we're just going to do a nice interview.
I sped it up a little bit because I know I was talking real slow there. So I just sped it up a little bit. But just listen to the interview. This guy's telling his story and what he went through. And, he's in his 60s, and we were able to get a reversal for him, just doing basic things around the protocol, which is diet, immune system fortification, and antiparasitics. And Crawford tells his story,
going on.
Everyone should
and I didn't know it was called metabolic syndrome at the time. But I went on trying to discover things. Me, I'm just not gonna let somebody tell me something and I'm not gonna investigate. So I went on investigating, and I found Joe Tippin's protocol using drugs as off-the-shelf drugs that help. And actually, I think it did help. The problem was it wasn't complete. So I started taking all kinds of things and looking at different ways of trying to solve the cancer issue myself. I went to a strict vegetarian diet, and I didn't eat anything but vegetables and water. That was all I had. And I did that for about 6 months. Then I finally went to another doctor, specialist, and by then my PSA had gone up to almost 100. And the guy said, "Listen, you got to do something because you're going to get to the point when we can't do anything for you." And I said, "Well, I'm still thinking about what I'm going to do and how I'm going to address this." And of course, they're still trying to push me to do the traditional thing. So I'm still taking tests. I'm doing all these different things, and then I started swelling up. That blew my mind out of left field. I thought everything was fine, but then I started swelling up. Couldn't breathe. Legs swelling up. My vision was gone. I couldn't think. And again, still didn't know about metabolic syndrome. So all of these things was happening to me at the same time. And I met Bola in 2000.
But Bola is a mutual friend between me and
20. Bola's a spiritual guy who's highly spiritual and highly connected. And he started juicing with me. So we started doing juicing. And while that was helping, there was still an underlying problem, which was metabolic syndrome. Gone back to the doctor said, "Listen, you got to do something. Your PSA is still going up." As a result, I went in and they did a scan. I think it was a PET scan and some other kind of scan. They were amazed to find that my prostate was filled at 97% full of cancer in all 12 quarters. And they said, "Listen, you got to do something." But what blew their mind is that the cancer hadn't spread. The cancer did not spread. So I believe everything I was doing prior to that was helping me, but not completing the process. So there was something still missing. Me, I'm going to go out and I'm going to look at every book, every study, read everything that I can. Then I met you. So I think that all things are divine, and it's coming together. When I met you, you discussed with me about metabolic syndrome. I had never heard of it. Doctors never discussed it with me. "Oh, we believe in the science." I said, "Well, your science is not working." And I'm not interested in going through all the things you're asking me to go through. This is going to get to a point where you can't do anything for you.
What did they ask you to go through?
They wanted me to go through operation. They wanted to remove the prostate. And I looked at all the side effects of that. I said, "I'm not doing that. I'd rather just go to the next phase before I do that." Then they offered me seeds, radiation seeds. And then they offered low dose chemo. I said, "Well, I'm not doing chemo." You can forget that. And all the solutions that they offered me, I wasn't willing to do, but they kept monitoring me. And they couldn't figure out why it hadn't spread. I said, "Well, if it didn't spread, that's a good thing." So something I was doing was correct. And then you discussed with me about the PSA levels, and you discussed with me about what olive leaf extract is and what metabolic syndrome was. And you believed that at that time that I was suffering from metabolic syndrome. And I said, "Okay, let me look into it." So, we discussed it back and forth a few times. You sent me some of the good old fashioned stuff. There's some homemade olive leaf extract. And I got on that and learning about what metabolic syndrome was. And I knew exactly that's what I had. You nailed it. When you said it to me, you were dead on. So when I did all the research, you told me to try the protocol. So I went into the protocol. And I tell you, the first time out of the gate, because I did this protocol 3 times this year, The first experience, I lost 3 inches on my belly. My vision cleared up. My mental capacity exploded. I was able to think faster, read faster than I ever had before. When I went back to the doctor, they said, well, your PSA is dropping. And he wanted to ask me what I was doing. And I wasn't going to tell him because they've been trying to push all these drugs on me. I'm not giving him any heads up. He said, well, at the end of the conversation, he said, listen, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. So when I went back and said, I think it was late August this year, I went back, my PSA had dropped all the way almost to 0. And they're like looking at me like, well, what is it? I won't tell them. I said, there's no way I'm going to tell you after what you tried to do to me. And
so what was your exact PSA number?
My PSA was at 150 last year.
Okay.
Now it's down to 0.1.
Okay.
And, and it may fluctuate. I know it's going to fluctuate because of diet and everything that's going on around. But as long as I can keep it down below 1, I'm in good standing. I'll be here for the rest of my life. But enjoy it without cancer, that's for sure.
Right. Can you talk
and you and I discussed more about combining a few things and enhancing what I've already done and what you've already done for me.
Right.
So we're going to discuss that. We'll go more into it. But I'm excited. I'm excited for me, and I'm excited for what you've discovered and you helped me get to.
Yeah, man. When I first met you, it's been a year since we met each other, right? When I first met you and saw you, you look completely different, man. You look a lot younger. You put on weight. You look more robust. You look like a young man again.
Thank you. Feel good.
Yeah, you look like a great bill of health, man. And I'm emotionally moved to see that this worked for you. And I refined the protocol with a greater understanding of what's going on. It is metabolic syndrome, but there's some underlying causes as to why you even have the metabolic syndrome and why it matters to know that you have metabolic syndrome. And we'll get into that. But let's talk about the protocol that I gave you and what you did, what you started out with. And so before we do that, let's start with metabolic syndrome, right? So metabolic syndrome or metabolic disorder is an umbrella term that covers people with heart disease, diabetes, and cancer, and even autoimmune illnesses. Really what's going on is that due to the modern day diets that people are having, which is packed with carbohydrates and processed foods, what's happening is that people are developing insulin resistance. And let me just kind of describe that for people. So insulin resistance is basically when you need more insulin in your blood to do the job that insulin normally does. And what insulin does is, one of the things that insulin does is that it transports glucose from the blood into the cell for energy. And the body uses 2 forms of energy. It uses glucose first, and then it uses fats second, lipids second. And when it switches over into using lipids for energy, that's when you're in fat burning stage. And that is what is called ketosis. Your body typically will require around 12 hours from your last meal that has carbohydrates or sugar to use the glucose. And then it transfers over into ketosis. What you want is your body to be in ketosis. But the problem is that most people don't go 12 hours without eating, and they don't go 12 hours without eating bad food or food with which we call simple carbohydrates, right? And that's the white flour.
So I covered this in our last lecture, but I just want to play a little bit about his experience with the medical industry because it was crazy. And when his doctor declared him cancer-free, how the doctor had to apologize to him because he told the doctor he wasn't going to do anything that they were asking him to do, and he was going to try this protocol, and the protocol ended up working. And the doctor was shocked and amazed that this guy's cancer-free. Let's see if we can catch a little bit of that, then I'll just move to another story. We'll choose a woman this time because I know we got men and women on here, so I want to, be fair to the genders, and we'll play one of the men here, prostate cancer, and we'll play a gynecological cancer, which is endometrial cancer, and you guys can listen to that one as well. Let's see if we can catch a little bit more.
Because you got all these parasites in your system, actually the hunger is coming from the parasites calling for food when you start doing the fasting, and so it becomes more difficult. So I tell people to try to do a cleanse, a parasite cleanse before you do the fast, maybe 2-3 days. You could take
cabbage because that's now it took me a minute to get used to that.
Because it's bitter, very bitter. It's bitter, but here's what we find out. If these intracellular parasites love glucose and things that are sweet, what would they hate? The opposite. Things that are bitter.
They don't like the bitter.
Yes, the bitter, what you find out is that everything that's bitter pretty much is
So I'll forward it a little bit more.
percent absorption in most olive leaf.
Like 6 months.
Okay, so you did it for 6 months?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's measure the time, because
It was January.
So January you started the protocol.
Yeah, we did the first protocol in January.
Okay.
And then I did this protocol again in March.
Okay.
And then I did it again. Oh, so it was 3 times before I went to see him.
Okay.
I did the protocol 3 times before I went back.
And when did you start? You started feeling better almost immediately after the fast?
I was like on cloud 9 after the fast, man. I had my bolo was telling me, he said, man, how fast you're reading is incredible.
Right.
I felt this. I felt it. I mean, this is
felt the difference.
I felt
so he did about a 4-day fast. I think he did a 5-day fast, actually, with just a water fast. And what happened was that because he has metabolic syndrome, which I explained earlier, it was basically eliminating the foods that was causing his problem, because he was eating no food. This is how you know you have metabolic syndrome, is when you do a fast. When you do a fast and all of a sudden your body starts to heal, the inflammation goes away. This is the way you confirm that your sickness is due to the food that you're eating. You just remove food. If you feel better, all of a sudden, then it's the food that you're eating. Then your job now is to pinpoint which food it is. And 9 times out of 10, it is carbohydrate, sugar-based food. And that's what's causing the inflammation. And so this is how he was able to discover that he had metabolic syndrome, because right when he stopped eating, he started feeling better than he'd ever felt before. And he did it for 5 days, and that's what he's referencing here. But I just want you all to catch some of his interactions with his doctor and the progress of being bedridden, thinking he was going to die because he has a son that's very young, and having that turnaround happen for him, and just to hear the story.
It's like night and day.
Okay.
My processing was so much better. I felt like I was in my 20s and 30s again.
Let's talk about your symptoms. When did you start seeing your symptoms go away in terms of your prostate symptoms?
Well, my prostate symptoms went away after the first protocol.
Okay.
I started
the first 30 days?
The first 30 days, I was able to pee normally, because they've been sending me all kinds of drugs. I got them around here somewhere. I just keep them as a reminder where I came from. But the symptoms went away. They were trying to get me to take these drugs for Flomax. They were trying to get me to take Flomax. I said, I'm not going to keep taking these drugs, man. Once you start taking the drugs, your body becomes dependent on these drugs, then you're hooked. So I just let my body do what it needed to do, get healed, build up my immune system, did everything that I needed to do. So all of the symptoms, I would say by the 4th or 5th month, disappeared. I mean, I was peeing like a horse, like a champion, man. I was like, wow.
But you were saying that after the first 30 days, that's when you noticed that you could just pee normally.
Yes.
So 30 days. Let's talk about the vitamin D3 plus K2 that you took. How much did you take of that?
Now, with the vitamin D, I did high doses of vitamin D. I was doing 10 to 15,000 international units a day. I did that for 6 months.
Right. And that's what I advised you to do.
Yep.
And
I took the vitamin K. I took the vitamin, because the vitamin K was already mixed in with the vitamin D that you gave me.
Yes.
But then I bought some zinc and what's the other one?
Magnesium, probably.
Magnesium. Yes, I got the magnesium and I got the zinc, and I took that together. I did that for the first 30 days. And I tell you, night and day. So I'm on vitamin D, because right now I ran out of what the vitamin D that we had, but I need to get some more. But I have others in tablets. So if I run out of the liquid, I'll take the tablets just because they're here.
Right.
So I don't not go without my vitamin D, without my K, without my zinc, and without my magnesium. Now, magnesium takes a little getting used to your body to acclimate to it, because it causes diarrhea. But I'm past all that now.
Yeah. Now just tell people. So there's different types of magnesiums.
Correct.
And magnesium citrate is the one that causes the most diarrhea. The magnesium that I advise people take is magnesium glycinate. And magnesium glycinate is the one that's good for the whole body. And if you have some brain issues and some mental issues around anxiety or what have you, a lot of times it's because of a lack of magnesium that's going to the brain. Then you want to take magnesium threonate. And that's the magnesium for the brain. But in terms of what you needed for your immune system was really magnesium glycinate. So yeah, I'm happy to hear of that. So every day you're taking, so let's go through your regimen, right? So you're doing you did your fasting, start everything off. Well, you did a little parasite cleanse to start everything off. Then you do your fasting, and then you change your diet to a ketogenic diet. Okay. And then you're taking the olive leaf extract 3 times per day, right? A couple 3 times a day. You're taking 24 milligrams of ivermectin as well. Then you're dealing with your immune system. You're taking about 10 to 15,000 IUs of D3. You're taking your zinc, and then you're taking your magnesium as well. I don't know if you remember how much zinc you were taking and how much.
Yeah, I'm taking 20 milligrams.
20 milligrams of zinc. And how much magnesium were you taking? Do you remember?
I don't remember the magnesium count.
Probably 1 or 2 pills per day.
It was two pills a day.
Okay, yeah. Usually
pills.
the pills are around 200 milligrams.
200, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so probably 400 milligrams per day. So
Exactly.
this is pretty much a regimen, and you're sticking with it, and you're hitting all those 3 angles, right? Diet, starving intracellular parasites through diet, which is also causing you to now have a metabolic change in your body.
Absolutely.
Your insulin resistance will be gone. Your blood glucose will be gone because you're not eating all of these like senseless, deleterious carbs. And then you're enhancing your immune system. And then you're doing parasite killing of any type of intracellular parasites that we believe is responsible for the cancer. And that's pretty much that's the herbal results protocol. But what I want to get to, Crawford, is there's 2 milestones when someone is recovered. One, the milestone of you knowing your symptoms are gone, right? So there's a happiness that comes with that, right? And
Absolutely.
you start seeing your body change, your energy change, and all of that. But the second milestone is when you go see the doctor.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about that.
They want to know. They want to know.
Let's talk about when you walk into the office. Let's go through that whole process, because they basically sentenced you to die.
Absolutely, they did. They did.
So
and they said
that.
they believe in the science. They believe what they do is the right thing to do. And I'm asking questions. I'm sure I'm the only one who's asked them questions like I did, because they were stuck and they couldn't answer the questions. I said, so well, if I do this, how do I change my diet? Oh, diet doesn't matter. You can eat sugar, you can eat this, you can eat cake, you can do whatever you want. And I'm looking at the guy like he's got 3 heads. I already know better. So I'm like, well, why would you want me to eat that way? He says, well, if you want to eat healthy, then that's your choice. I said, no, that's the way we should eat. And he said, no, what do we believe in the science? Because they denounced everything that I discussed with them about diet and health, staying away from certain drugs. And I'm like, well, that's not my understanding. And they just kept trying to push me into this box.
Right, which is chemotherapy and radiation and surgery. That's pretty much what they got for you. And the crazy thing, Crawford, is that they actually don't even know the science. There's 2 types of science. That's the science that is sponsored by the pharmaceutical companies, which is a flawed science. And there's a science that is a science that doesn't have any type of financial remuneration attached to it. And that's the science where you get around drugs that are out of patent, or herbs that are out of that can't be patented. Exactly. Now you actually start to get real science, because there is no way that someone can get a monopoly from patenting these things. So most of the science that doctors deal with is the science from pharmaceutical companies towards them patenting a drug which they can monopolize, right?
That's correct.
So that's the science he's talking about, and that's what they're trained for. But every single thing and every single aspect that I'm talking about, there's scientific studies that back up everything that I was saying. Every single thing that I told you, there are studies on the National Institute of Health that show that, a ketogenic diet actually is great for anti-cancer. Fasting is great for anti-cancer. Building your immune system is great for anti-cancer. Vitamin D, high dose, is good for anti-cancer. Ivermectin is anti-cancer. Olive leaf extract is
just
anti-cancer.
Forward this a little bit so we can get to Q&A.
We saw the emperor wears no clothes. So what we're doing is,
it's a good thing that I did. I mean, and you met me at the time that
wanted to get to the point where
olive leaf extract plus phytonutrients, herbal results.
Hormones. I said, I'm not taking it. Listen, you got to take it for 3 years. I said, I'm not taking any of it, man. Because they said, well, if you're not going to do the chemotherapy, you're not going to do this, do the hormone therapy. I said, I'm not taking anything. They sent it to me. Said, go to your doctor in Pennsylvania. They said Luperon. Is that, yeah. This if you read it, Luperon. That's what they sent me. They said, go take this to your local doctor and have them stick you with it. They don't give up.
Right. So 6 months later,
I walk into the office. How you doing, Mr. Peterson? Healthy. You're doing everything we discussed? I'm doing everything that I discussed with you. Well, what do you mean? And they go do the blood work, and the blood work that they could do that day came back to the doctor while I was waiting. And he's looking at the results, like he's just looking at the piece of paper. He's looking at, he sits back in his chair like this. He looks at me. How you feeling? Never better. And he's looking at the piece of paper. He says, well, your PSA. That's all he says, your PSA. I said, where is it? He says, below 1. I said, what's the number? He says, 0.1. I said, great. He said,
it was what before?
149 point something. Say this round up 150.
That was the last time you saw him, was 149.
Yeah, that was last year.
Right.
That was a year ago.
Right. And then you see him again.
It's down to 0.1. And he's like looking at me, and I guess he's waiting for me to tell him what I did. I said, yeah, I'm doing good. Because I'm not going to tell him, man. I'm not going to tell him, because he'll go back to that. Oh, we believe in the science. Me too. The natural science.
Right.
So He just sat back in his chair and he just kind of looked at the paper. He says, well, whatever you're doing, you just keep doing it because it's working. I said, yeah, I feel good. I said, I've never been clearer about what I'm doing in my life. And I guess the guy couldn't believe it because I'm thinking to myself, he's thinking he lost a whole bunch of money. And he wants to hear what I did. And I'm not telling him. All I said is, I'm eating better. I stuck to my diet. I didn't get into the olive leaf extract and all that stuff because it's all available. All the information that you shared with me, I found on the internet with all the studies being done. And there's over 100 studies that have been done so far.
On olive leaf extract?
On olive leaf extract, just olive leaf extract. Over 100 studies. I mean, like some profound studies. So I'm a firm believer. No, it doesn't matter when you get started. The idea is to get started.
Right.
And you'll be happy with the results. Now, for me, I want to live as long as I possibly can. We're all going to transition, but I want to live as long as I possibly can. So it was easy for me to change my diet, to change how I do things, to have a different lifestyle. I've talked to people about their health and sharing with them my experience. And one person.
Now, I'm just going to let you all take your own time and due diligence to watch the rest of it because there's a lot more information in there. But this is how these interviews go. This is Zach Richardson here. He was given 90 days to live with end-stage esophageal cancer. And he got the olive leaf extract and went through the protocol, and it was completely reversed. And his story is a crazy story. You all should watch it. I mean, literally, he was given 90 days to live. And then this sister here, Tabia Yatunde, and I said I was going to play one of women, and you all should really hear this one. She was diagnosed with stage 3 endometrial cancer. And I'm just going to play about 5 minutes of it, and then we can get into Q&A, okay? So let me just start it. I think probably right here.
Started having some issues.
They're gonna reggae too, so
prior to even finding out the diagnosis, I had been in Africa for about 3.5 years. So when I did get back stateside, I started having some issues. I had actually gone into menopause prior to that 3 years. So I had no menstrual cycle. I was feeling great. Everything was good with me. Got back here. I don't know if it's the environment or I probably had a lot to do with food and everything. I started noticing weight gain. I started having a menstrual cycle. When I said menstrual cycle, it was more hemorrhaging than anything. It went on for 8-9 months, brother, where I was having a menstrual cycle.
Without a break.
I went to my primary care health doctor. I made an appointment for gynecology. Immediately, they did a sonogram and they wanted to do a biopsy. I had to wait for about a week or 2 weeks to get the results. During that time, of course, I'm afraid. I'm like, what's going on with my body? It's changing. I'm gaining so much weight in my stomach area, and I'm not feeling good at all. Once I had it, the doctor called me and said, hey, we got a problem. And I'm like, you got stage 3 endometrial cancer, and we have to get you into an oncologist immediately before it starts spreading.
What year was this?
This was last year.
Okay, around what month?
I had my appointment in May of last year.
May 2022.
Yes.
Okay, and so before that, you had just been excessively bleeding, like having a menstrual cycle nonstop for about 8 months?
Nonstop. It would stop like every once in a blue moon, and then it would start up again, and it was horrible. I mean, horrible. I mean, it was really, really bad. And I would say that started up from like maybe June 2021. And then I think it was a time where it actually stopped for like a week and then would start back up again. And I noticed it would stop when I would not eat food at all. When I would just water fast, it would stop.
Okay.
But from May,
that's very interesting right there, because that's part of the protocol as well. So yeah, but go ahead. And how long would you water fast?
I actually water fasted for 1 week.
Okay.
And then it was rough, but I got through it. So 7 days, and I think probably maybe 9 days or 10 days, I had no bleeding whatsoever.
Okay.
After that water fast. And then as soon as I put something in my mouth, the bleeding started again.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So once I found out about it, of course I was stressed out. I didn't know what to do. I'm crying. I'm depressed. I'm stressed. Because when you're hearing that you have cancer, it's like, oh my goodness, my mother died when I was 7 of cervical cancer. And I think I'm the first one of the girls in the family to actually have this issue,
Okay.
with my reproductive system. So of course it was a big scare. And then I had to go to Springdale, Arkansas, to Highland Oncology, and to sit in the office with so many other people who have the same issue, and looking around and like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? So they started explaining to me, we're going to have to do surgery on you. And if you don't, it's going to spread. And that's a fear that everybody has, that, this cancer is going to spread.
Mm-hmm.
So in between that time, I can't remember the exact date, but I remember Jelani coming to Oklahoma to visit me.
But Jelani's a
said,
mutual
"Sis, I'm here
friend.
for a few days, but if I don't come to see you," and he told me about you that particular day. And he said, "I'm going to get you something quick. I'm going to mail it to you." And as soon as it got here, I immediately started taking. As soon as I started taking the product, I could start feeling my body changing, because I was having really bad headaches.
Mm-hmm.
The headaches went. My blood pressure was getting very, very normalized at that time.
Which specific product did you take?
It was the olive leaf extract. It wasn't the maximum. It was the super.
You took the super.
It wasn't even the maximum product.
Okay.
It was the one that was, yeah. So
okay, yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting,
yeah.
Because the maximum strength is what we give to people with cancer. So
the
super strength, that's very interesting. Okay.
That's what brother sent me. Brother Jelani sent me the super strength. So
okay.
I told him, I said, I'm feeling different. I'm like, I was having headaches. The headaches were gone. When I go to my primary care, because during that time, my blood pressure was elevated. I'm talking about like 176 over 102.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to primary care, it went down to 111 over 78.
Yeah, that's a beautiful.
And during
that's
this time,
15-year-old's blood pressure.
Yes. So during this time, what they're telling me.
Mm-hmm.
You can't take any herbal things. You can't take this. You can't take that. Oh, you can't do ginger. Oh, you can't do turmeric. Oh, this and this and that. So of course I'm keeping my mouth shut the whole time.
And what type of things is the hospital putting you through? I know they have their standard of care. So they're looking at chemotherapy, radiation, or surgery, and then maybe immunotherapy. So what was their course that they told you could expect?
Well, the most important thing I must say, they didn't say anything about chemotherapy. They didn't say anything about radiation. They wanted to get inside of me and get that cancer out.
Surgery. Yeah.
They wanted to go in and take everything out. That's what they wanted to do.
Right. So a complete hysterectomy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exactly what they want to do. So what they ended up doing is doing I'll get to that story in just a minute, because this is gonna help some people out there.
Okay.
So after going back and forth to my primary care, and things were, blood pressure's getting better. I'm even losing a little weight during that time. I had some very large clots that were coming out of me vaginally. And I also had parasites coming out of my stool that I could literally see. I had itching in my anal area. And I'm like, no. This doesn't feel comfortable at all. And I'm like, wow, all of this because of the product.
Yeah, so you're taking the olive leaf extract and you're seeing all of these changes. You're seeing your blood pressure improve, but you're also seeing your body going through a detox. A
big detox. No headaches anymore. Parasites coming out. A lot of the old blood, I guess, that was in my system, everything's coming out, just draining out of me.
Yeah, so what's happening too, those clumps usually were either fibroids or pre-fibroids that were getting detached coming out of your vaginal cavity.
And they were huge. I mean, very big. I mean, scary. I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Yeah, your story is a story. I've heard this story so many times, and in your case too, because you had endometrial cancer. A lot of women with endometriosis, what happens is that the lining of the endometrium comes out every month. So you would have actually tissue coming out of the blood. And so the blood is very coagulated when it comes out. So I'm sure that's part of what was coming out as well. And then what's happening is that the olive leaf extract is also anti-inflammatory. So it's clearing up all that inflammation that's going on in that area, so it can get rid of the cancerous tumors, the parasites, and all of that. And, we'll get into the whole parasite thing, but I'm very glad that you brought up that you saw parasites coming out of your stool.
Yes. And also, being a person who has had a lot of weight on a majority of my adult life, I started looking at my skin. It was clearing up. I didn't have cankles anymore, didn't have any swollen ankles. Everything was just shrinking. So it gets to the D-Day, where I'm actually having the surgery, because I did go through with the surgery. That was the May I was diagnosed. In August, I had the surgery.
Okay.
August 8th to be exact. The scariest day of my life. Went through, they put you under, you get up, you're in a lot of pain, you're going through, your mind isn't right. You're trying to, kind of foggy. And then after that, preparing for that 6-week appointment with my doctor, with my oncologist after the surgery, they brought in the whole team that was there during the surgery. And he said to me, I want to share something interesting with you. This has never happened in my career. He said, we did a pathology report and there was no cancer in your cells.
So this is post-surgery.
This is after the surgery.
Right. So my thing is, why didn't they check you before they did the surgery? Because they didn't assume that the cancer went away. They just expected the cancer is going to be there, it's just going to stay there. So they went ahead and did the surgery. They should have checked you first for your cancer markers for tumors before they removed your womb. They just removed your womb, and then after they remove your womb, then they look and do a pathology report of what they removed, and then they find there's no cancer, which meant that they shouldn't have done the surgery in the first place.
And this is why being here with you today is important, because maybe I might save another sister's life.
Absolutely. So when he told you that,
it's very important.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's very important with what you said. Noted, the way that we're treated when we go in is different from everyone else.
Absolutely. I'm gonna let you talk. I'm gonna let you preach.
Yeah, there's no solution for us, so we have to create our own solutions. And sometimes we are caught up in our communities with, we got to take this pill. It's gonna make everything okay. Oh, right. I got a headache. Oh, I got this. It's gonna make everything okay. When it's not. When we've got to get back to the roots of the matter. We got to get back to our ancestral vibes. What were our ancestors doing way back? I remember coming out here to the country in Oklahoma, and my grandmother used to give me castor oil, and it was the nastiest thing you ever want. I mean, it was just nasty. I mean, we see it. We're running, we're crying, giving us turpentine, that kind of stuff. But we understood like we were never sick as children.
Right.
We weren't.
And we stopped doing that when we're adults. We stopped taking the castor oil. We stopped taking the turpentine at adulthood.
Yeah.
Which means that we should have been doing it. And so here's the interesting thing. And your case is it's a quintessential case. And you didn't even realize it because we hadn't had enough time to talk.
Yes.
And, I just finished writing the book. And the book talks about essentially what you went through as what everyone's going through. So what I mean is this, is that you see the pharmaco-medical complex has an idea, and what they have is an orthodoxy about cancer. And
we don't need to hear all that because I've covered it. But
Brother Haru,
yes,
we've got 5 minutes left on the show.
Okay, so we're gonna stop here.
So what we're gonna do is direct everybody to the site, and in everybody's own time, it obviously will benefit you tremendously to go and listen to what is on the site, the testimonies, and share them with your loved ones, because this is life-altering testimonies that we have all been privy to in the last 20 minutes or so. So just to wrap up, Brother Haru, because I did want those on the line to be able to ask you some questions, but time has become the enemy now. So just very quickly, I wanted to ask you something in regards to water fast, because there's a lot of conflicting thoughts out in the wider community in regards to what is water. And many are advising against H2O and more focused on coconut water and other elements like that. What's your advice in regards to a water fast? What type of water are we talking about here?
Yeah, so people have to understand, like, what is the modality that you're using, and what is the purpose of your fast, right? So for me, the purpose of the fast is really to reverse insulin resistance and to reverse metabolic syndrome because of the theory of health that I have. And so because I have that theory of health, coconut water will not be a part of it, because coconut water has glucose in it. It's sucrose, and which is basically fructose and glucose. Anything sweets that you get from fruits or plants is a form of glucose, which is fructose and glucose together. And what people have to realize is that the body does not care where it gets glucose from. Sure, fruits are healthier, even though they do have a glucose content in it because it has fiber in it. So it has a slower absorption. But when you start drinking the juices, there is no slowdown of absorption. There's no fiber, and you're just getting pure glucose. And if anyone would like to test this, because I've had, people who are like fruitarians and what have you, all you have to do is just get a blood glucose monitor. And you take your blood glucose before you drink fruit juice, and then you take it after you drink fruit juice. And if you see a spike in your glucose, then you know that this fruit juice is actually adding sugar to your body. And so it no longer becomes an opinionated thing. It just has to be based on fact and numbers. And so, there's a lot of things that sound good, but when we start doing like the real numbers, it's a lot different. So for me, a water fast is just that, not coconut water. It's a water fast. You're doing water, and what you can do is you can add fresh squeezed lime. You want to make sure that you don't have more than 5 calories, because what happens is that it will then trigger your body from a fasted state to an eating state when it has to process these calories. So you want to keep the calories low. So you have water, fresh squeezed lime. I do this 100-hour water fast every 3 months. And I showed you all the chart about that, how you do fasting and what happens to your body over time. And that when you hit 3 days of fasting, your body hits peak autophagy. Autophagy is this cleansing process where your body releases this thing called phagocytes to find precancerous cells and kill them. And so the deal is that when you're doing this water fast, what you'll find out is that when you get tired, you're really getting tired not because of a lack of food, it's because of a lack of electrolytes. And so you can add a quarter teaspoon of sea salt to the water when you start to feel tired, and it'll help you get through the fast because you're adding electrolytes to your body. So that's the way we do our fasting over here, and it's been very successful for people with all types of ailments, and they've just done fasting and have solved a lot of their issues. And then they'll reintroduce different foods slowly. Then you start to realize which foods is causing you the problem, because right when they fast, the issues start to go away after maybe day 1, day 2. By the time they hit day 3, they're feeling great. They may feel a little bit weak because they're not used to fasting, but then when you start introducing different foods and you start to get sick again, now you know the foods is causing your problem. And usually it's carbohydrates causing inflammation through the conversion to sugar.
2 more quick questions. In regards to the fast, what teas would you advise just on a regular, say for instance, because we have a 3-day fast starting today. So quite a few of us on this line will not eat again until Sunday.
Okay.
So we're starting our 3-day fast today. So in regards to teas, what teas would you recommend, if any, during that 72-hour period?
I don't recommend any tea. I'm hardcore. Just water and fresh squeezed lime. I mean, there's people who add teas. The only thing is sometimes you don't know what they're adding in the tea. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure that there's nothing that has increased calories. Because if you increase the calories, your body gets thrown off of the fasting, and you're no longer getting the benefits of fasting, because you want to achieve autophagy. That is one of the most important aspects of fasting, is to achieve autophagy. And autophagy is your body's internal method of cleaning up malfunctioned and precancerous cells and resetting your body, and also getting a brand new immune system and all that. That cannot happen if you've introduced a certain level of calories into what you're drinking. So because I don't trust what people make in terms of like the teas that you might buy, they might add a little sugar here, they might add something there to keep you coming back. I don't trust them. So I just get fresh squeezed lime, and I get water, and I'll get a pinch of sea salt if I get tired. And I do this. So I'm happy to know that you all are fasting, though. It's great. It's great for the mind. It's great for psychological strength, and also breaking the addiction to food. Most of us, we eat way too much. We eat more than we should. We eat more meals than we should. We just eat because we're bored. because that's what happens in industrial society. It just becomes a habit. So I'm happy to know that this group is fasting. That's a great step.
Fantastic. And just to all of those out there who are looking for alternative diets and they're moving from solids to juicing. So juicing all sorts of vegetables and all sorts of fruits, and not necessarily consuming them once a day. They're consuming these things throughout the day. Many people are juicing melons during this time and drinking a lot of melon juice throughout the day, okay, as opposed to just with a meal, etc. What would you advise in regards to the best use of these type of theories that are out there, or diets that are out there?
Okay, so here's the main thing for people. Well, sometimes, juicing vegetables like spinach can cause a problem because spinach has a lot of oxalates in it. And if you have too much spinach, it can cause kidney stones. Mm. And I mean, anyone can look into this, and kidney stones are extremely painful. And then also, if you are already insulin resistant and you're juicing watermelon or you're juicing any of these sweet fruits, you're going to spike your blood sugar. And this is not what you want to do. However, the good side of fruits is that it has a lot of vitamins and minerals. So fruits are not a net negative. But if you're already suffering from diabetes or high blood pressure or any of these inflammatory-based diseases, and you have insulin resistance issues, high level of fruit, particularly in a liquid form without any fiber, is going to spike your blood glucose. And if you don't believe me because you think it's fruit, and fruit is healthy and it's natural, which it is, fruit can be very healthy, and it is natural. It's much better than any processed drinks, but it will spike your blood sugar. And that is the last thing you want to do if you're suffering from an inflammatory disease. And also if you've got anything like diabetes. And what I'm saying to people is that I don't want people to take anything that I'm saying as gospel truth. I want you to research and look into what I'm saying and to see the validity of what I'm saying, because once we develop these abilities to actually double check what people are saying, we protect ourselves, and we also strengthen our research skills and our abilities to know. Because a lot of times, most of people, all we're doing is repeating what other people said. And if it sounds good, we just repeat it. And we don't look into what they're saying. I don't want anyone to repeat what I'm saying. I want you to look into what I'm saying and corroborate it with evidence. Are there studies that back up what I'm saying? If you think that fruits are good to take and it won't spike your blood sugar, there's a way to prove it. You get a blood sugar monitor, you take your blood sugar before, and then you drink all the fruit juice you want, and then take your blood sugar an hour later. And if it's spiked, then you know that it's spiking your glucose, and that's a bad thing. And you can even take your blood pressure afterwards because of the relationship between the inflammation of the arterial walls and glucose. And I've done this. The reason why I can speak like this, because I've done this experiment 100 times. And this is just what it is. Like, people's blood sugar will spike. Once your blood sugar spikes, you get an inflammatory response, and you will get a high elevated blood sugar and an elevated blood pressure. So, we have to get into the whole tradition of confirming every single thing, because most of our knowledge is knowledge based on repeating what people who we think know what they're talking about are saying, and we never actually evaluate these things for ourselves, which means that our destiny is in the hands of other people. And I don't want that to be the case. I don't want your destiny to be in my hands. I want your destiny to be in your hands, and I can just show you the tools to corroborate what I'm saying.
Thank you, brother. And two last questions. What is your take on coffee? Talk to me about coffee and exercise whilst you're fasting.
Yeah, coffee. So we're talking about coffee, real coffee, which has caffeine. Caffeine is inflammatory. And people are drinking coffee because they're so tired in the morning, because they're not getting a good night's sleep. Guess why you're not getting a good night's sleep? because the coffee is keeping you awake. So it becomes this vicious cycle. I mean, I remember when I was at university, all these, at university, white boys like to party differently than black people.
Yeah.
So they drink alcohol. That's their idea of partying, right? So you go to a white people's party, it was just alcohol and there's no music.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand that's what they call a party. When you go to the black folks party, it's music and maybe alcohol, right? So I didn't understand how they drank alcohol all night. But all of the science classes, so the way they did was they wanted to weed you out of pre-med. So they put all the science classes at 8 in the morning. All these white boys who were drunk at 2 in the morning were at science classes at 8 in the morning, wide awake. And I didn't know what their secret was because I'd be sleepy at 8 in the morning and I'd be sitting in class next to him, but I knew that this guy was drunk just at 2 in the morning. And what I found out was that they drank coffee like crazy. And the coffee was an upper and it kept them awake. But then what I found out later was that a lot of these people develop sleeping disorders because the caffeine is affecting your sleep cycle. Yes, it's going to keep you awake, but it's also going to affect your sleep cycle. And here's the problem with having your sleep cycle affected. Because when I started getting into this whole health thing over a decade ago, one of the biggest things that particularly our people used to tell me was, Haru, I haven't had a good night's sleep in 11 years. I mean, I've had friends tell me that. I haven't had a good night's sleep. And I said, what do you mean? Like, I haven't slept more than 3 or 4 hours straight through the night without waking up. They haven't had a good night's sleep in over a decade. And what that does is that completely affects your immune system. Sleeping is how your body heals. And so when you don't sleep well, you have no chance to be healthy in the long run. Your health will fall apart, and caffeine plays a role in that. So I would advise to people, your problem is you're not getting a good night's sleep, so you wake up tired. So the best thing you got to do is cut out the coffee, cut out the caffeine, because over time, what caffeine does is it raises blood pressure. You can look it up, caffeine and blood pressure. It actually elevates blood pressure because caffeine is inflammatory. But more importantly, it throws off your sleep cycle by making you stimulated throughout the day in a way, and then even throughout the night. So it causes huge problems. And so I would advise for people to take magnesium glycinate before you sleep to break that cycle so that you can get a good night's sleep, you wake up refreshed, and you won't need coffee.
Very good.
Okay.
And lastly, with exercise during a fast.
Yeah, so with exercise during a fast, the question is, what are you trying to do when you're exercising during the fast? Are you trying to lose more weight, or are you trying to just stay active or what have you? Because what I can tell you is that just not eating is going to lose you more weight than exercising. And I showed that last week that, like, whenever I do a fast, the first 36 hours, I lose 5 pounds like clockwork. And that's from doing no activity. And if you want to lose 5 pounds through running, you'd have to run 81 miles in terms of the caloric loss of running. You have to run 81 miles to lose 5 pounds, or you just have to fast for 36 hours. So if you're trying to lose more weight while you're fasting, just fasting itself is going to cause you to lose weight because your body will turn into fat burning stage after about 12 to 14 hours of not eating. And basically you're living off of burning fat, and your body is very good at burning fat. It's burning all that stored fat that you've got in your body from those years of excessive eating. And so for somebody who is not used to fasting, I would not recommend exercise during fasting. I would recommend staying still and just being quiet and just, being still during that time, because you're not going to be used to it. But if you want a cheat code for fasting, the first thing you should do, the week before you fast, and I know it's too late because you all are about to get into one, but if you want to make your fast easier, you should take some anti-parasitic herbs. And that could be olive leaf extract, that could be black seed oil, that could be turmeric, that could be Artemisia annua, a couple other things. And what will happen is that will clean out intestinal parasites, because it's the intestinal parasites that make the fasting difficult for you, because they want to be fed, usually sugar, during that time. And you'll find that when you're fasting, most people will lose like the discipline for fasting and eat like a cookie or a cracker or something. And it's not you, it's actually the parasites calling for that food. And that's how a lot of people don't maintain their discipline. So what you got to do is try to clean your gut of parasites 1 week before you fast, and then not eating for 3 days will be very much easier for you. So I would say if you're new to fasting, I wouldn't exercise during that time. You want to preserve your energy because you're going to get tired because it's going to be new to you. And the tiredness is not going to be the lack of food, it's going to be the lack of electrolytes. So then just take some sea salt, 1/4 of a teaspoon of sea salt, mix it with the water and drink it down. And you'll get through the 3 days and you'll feel great and you'll feel like you've conquered something. But one of the best things that you can do is to break the addiction to food. It's one of the most liberating feelings in the world to know that you can go 4 days without eating and still be functional. It changes everything. Most of us haven't gone 12 hours without eating in, industrial society. And that's not how the human body is designed. So hopefully that helps.
Fantastic. It does indeed. Brother, it's been an honor and it's been a privilege. We're 15 minutes over our time. However, it's a blessed 15 minutes over our time. So we want to thank you and look forward to having this masterclass where we can take out a good few hours and then all on the line can exhaust their minds and exhaust their questions. And as we said last week, probably 90% of the questions that you would like to ask can be answered by visiting the website and going through the information that is there and following the guidance given by our dear brother Haru, which is to use Mr. Google also. But if we get the books and take the time out and read, then there's nothing better than answering your own question based upon your own due diligence. Okay. So with that said, I hope nobody feels as if, you didn't get an opportunity, but there is so much that has been said. Your cup must be running over as ours is. So those of you, Sister Sylvina, you're going to take a poll real quick. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Yeah, just in terms of the masterclass, so we've posted the link for those of you who want to register. We also want to know how best to distribute the time that we'll be using on the day. So we just have a very brief poll where we'd like you just to indicate your primary areas of interest. So here we go. So if you could just take this poll, just asking about the subjects that you would like us to cover. You can indicate, and then that will give us an idea of the weighting of information on the day.
And if we could all participate, it would be very useful to us.
And the link to register has been posted in the chat. So do register. Don't be slow with registering. Don't lose momentum. Let's complete what we've started. A lot of people that are yet to.
So we're looking at Saturday the 18th, I believe it is, for our masterclass. We will confirm that with you once we have confirmed with our dear brother.
Okay, so the 18th is a Sunday.
The 17th, we want the Saturday the 17th.
I wouldn't be able to do the 17th. I have a lecture in Washington, D.C. on the 17th, but I could do the 24th.
No, the 24th is we'll work this out.
Okay.
But we can't do the 24th. We have another conference on the 24th that we will be discussing before we conclude.
Okay, we could maybe do the 10th.
Yeah, let's shoot for the 10th.
Okay, yeah, we can do the 10th.
Yeah, because sooner is better than later.
Yeah.
It's always good to do these things very succinctly in close proximity of time. So for those of you on the call, please prepare yourself to make yourself available. For next week, Saturday, we will be preparing to have a grand session with our dear brother. Okay?
Okay.
We'll come back to you. Once you register, we'll send you the times. But cancer seems to be the most
popular. 59 people have voted, 112 people online. So we would appreciate if everyone voted. But again, we have around 50%, over 50% of those participants on the line. And the majority is, yeah, cancer with high blood pressure coming in second.
Okay, very good. Okay. So
Mhm.
these subject matters will be discussed primarily what we've been spent a lot of time discussing today, cancer and all of the products, dear family. When you come on next week, we will ensure that all of you have an update on the protocols and all what you need to know concerning that which will be discussed, okay, and access, through the great spiritual injection. So be prepared to register, and we'll communicate with you directly as time is running. Okay, Sister Sylvina, was there anything else you'd like to?
No, well, we have the business masterclass, don't we? We have the 24th. Do you want to speak about that now? Or?
Those of you who are interested in structuring a business for global success and for global influence, we're going to be having a major masterclass on Saturday, the 24th, with those who are able, like a very profound lawyer who's going to be joining us from Asia, who structures companies from zero all the way to listing to IPO. And he's going to walk us through the gears as to how you structure a company to a listing on a major stock exchange. And we will have also accountant, and we'll also have a banker who will help you with advice in these 3 areas. So these 3 areas will be covered: how to structure your company for global success, i.e. ultimately to be listed on one of the global exchanges, and funding, and also accounting. Okay, this is a one-off situation in London. We're going to be having it in Cromwell Road in London, in Kensington. If those of you are familiar, Saturday the 24th. Will commence at, I believe it's 12, well, registration will be at 10 a.m. and we will go on until about 4 p.m. in the evening, okay? Very, very highly renowned people will be speaking to us on that day. We only have seats for 50 in the conference room. So those of you who want to come, it's not going to be like a lecture structure, it's conference boardroom style. So those of you who want a seat in the boardroom, as the information comes up, please register today, okay? Because as I said, we only have 50 places available, okay? So do you have that information that you could put up, Odate?
Yes, sir. This 20 seconds, we have it for you.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd have that ready. So if we can just put the information up, and those of you who are online, please screenshot the information, go online, register. Because as I said, next week this time, it won't be available.
The link has been posted in the chat. The registration link has been posted.
Okay, very good. Can we put it up on the screen too? Is that possible? But the link, okay. Thank you. Okay, so we don't have a QR code on the screen. Okay, we'll just go into the chat and copy and paste the link and go and register yourself. And also the information for registering for next week, Saturday's masterclass. Once you register, we will send you out a link within 24 hours. And we look forward to that. Will take place on the Zoom. This particular meeting is taking place in person and we will offer possibly a virtual opportunity for some of you who are out of the country to join and pose your questions and listen into the discussion. But those of you who will be in the room in the UK, there will only be places for 50 at the very max. Okay. So with that said, thank you everybody for a wonderful evening. Mainly, my dear brother Haru, thank you for another wonderful episode of really how to structure ourselves health-wise to live. And those testimonies were mind-blowing, were they not, Spiritual Injection audience?
Yes, sir.
Please take your devices off of mute then and give our brother a well-deserved round of applause, because he's a gift from the Most High. Let's thank God for our gift.
Thank you, brother.
Yes.
Brother Harry.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother
Hey,
Haru.
brother.
Thank you, brother
Thank
Minister.
you, brother.
Brother Haru's peace and love.
Appreciate him.
Thank you.
Brother Fame.
And just for your information, brother Haru, the audience is comprised of those who are living in France, living in Serbia, living in Belgium, living in the US, Caribbean. There's a multiplicity of persons on this call in the Zoom room, tuning in from all over the world. So we thank all of you for taking time out and staying for 2 hours with us. We appreciate that.
Yeah,
So,
2 hours goes by fast.
yes, and you are preparing to fast with us for 3 days. Go and grab your last little morsel of food if that's the case. And tomorrow we're under starters orders, and we don't complete and conclude till Sunday. You know, but do bear in mind, and Dr. Haru, I really take away from this, for my fast, is the end of it. How I break it will be the most significant. And I'm traditionally, you know, I would break it with some soup and some bread and whatnot. Not this time.
Yeah. No, the soup is fine. You know, some avocado would be good. Some pear avocado would be good. Very healthy fat. So yeah, breaking your fast, you don't want to break your fast and flood yourself with carbohydrates and sugar. Because it like, what's the point if you've gotten your blood sugars down, your insulin levels down, the inflammation down, and then the first thing you eat is something that's going to bring it right back up, kind of undoes the fast. But yeah, I mean, I'm just happy to hear that you all are doing it. I know a lot of people have a lot of questions, and you all can hit me up at herbalresults.net. You can just go to the contact page and email me. I know someone was asking about lupus, and you know, I can cover that as well, but basically it's parasitical infections that's causing a lot of these autoimmune diseases as well. So it's the same protocol for lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, Crohn's disease, as it would be for cancer, because we're finding that there's intracellular parasites in the blood of people with lupus. And then it's also justified by knowing that one of the main pharmaceuticals prescribed for lupus is hydroxychloroquine. Lupus and rheumatoid arthritis, and hydroxychloroquine is what we use in Africa for malaria as an antiparasitical. So you would think that they would make a link between lupus and parasites, the fact that they're prescribing you antiparasitics. But you know, it's a longer conversation, but it's very simple to understand. But please, you can ask me any of these questions at herbalresults.net. Go to the contact page, ask me questions. I will answer them, and I look forward to seeing you all on the 10th, and we can get deeper into this. And I think it's going to be about cancer, correct?
Correct.
Yep. So happy to talk to you all on the 10th, and just please do yourselves a favor, just show some due diligence in watching the testimonials and looking at the book with the scientific studies if you're further intellectually curious, because once you solve this issue, you've not only solved it for yourself, but you solved it from your family and your whole bloodline, to be able to solve cancer, to solve high blood pressure, to solve diabetes, because these are what people are suffering from. And if they have someone in their family who knows how to solve this, you become a blessing to your family in so many ways. So I just want to make this available to y'all so you can empower yourselves and your families, so that we can start tackling other things in life instead of being debilitated with these health problems that can actually be solved if we're thinking about them in the right way. So thank you all.
And thank you. I look forward to seeing you in London, brother, in person in the very near future. So we'll discuss with you when you're back over this way. And God willing, we'll be able to see you in the flesh.
No problem.
Thank you, beloved. Thank you for a wonderful evening. And thank you for sharing with us the gift of the knowledge that you have accrued over your time during your studies. So spiritual injection, please take your devices off of mute and give our brother one last big, rapturous, well-deserved, well-earned, well-studied round of applause. Thank you, brother.
Yes, Baba. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all of the information.
Thank you. Upliftment.
Excellent presentation.
Thank you. Well done. Thank you. Much
Thank you. Good night to you all, and we'll see you next week, same place, same time. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, bro, Minister.
Do you enjoy our content? Well, make sure to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you won't miss an episode.